Towing. Rules when it comes to towing or dragging another vehicle, right? So then the distance between those two vehicles that are dragging each other, the maximum distance that can be there, it's 3.5 meters. They shouldn't pass that, right? So vehicle number 1, vehicle number 2, this distance here, in between here, it must not be more than 3.5 meters. Okay, that's the first thing. We understand the limit of the distance now. Let's understand another thing, right? So if I am towing, as I'm towing this vehicle here, in fact, what am I doing? Now I'm just doing according to me. I'm no longer following this. All right, but let's follow this. Okay, so another thing is that this person that I'm dragging here, a qualified person to drive that vehicle, that person must have a license to drive that type of a vehicle, right? Not anyone is permitted just to drive. Okay, now let's talk about point number 3 here. Marking used when the length of the material exceeds 1.8, right? So now as soon as the distance or the towing distance is more than 1.8 meters, there you must use a red flag. You must tie it there in between, just like that, right? It's a rule. It's a must do. You must do that. A red flag, put that during the day. Okay? If it's at night, put something that reflects the light. We normally use a red flag during the day. Alright, next, maximum towing speed when you are using a tow rope. Right? When I'm towing using a rope, what is the limit? That limit would be 30 kilometers per hour. You are not allowed to drive more than that. So what happens if I am towing someone using a rope on a highway that has a minimum speed of 40 kilometers per hour? Can I do that? No, you can't tow using a rope on any road that has a minimum speed that's above 30 kilometers per hour. Doesn't matter whether we are talking about highway or what. Alright, next, towing material used on a car with number bed brakes. Right? If this car that I'm towing, the number brakes are bed dial, what should I use? The rule says you must either use a topper or a dropper in such cases. One of the two. Both of those zinsimbi, right? But don't use a rope, don't use a chain, for example, right? Because mau brega with a chain here, yes, of furniture, yeah, fan and a rope. Okay. Next, having passengers on a towed vehicle, this vehicle that we are towing, when is it allowed for you to have passengers there, right? So you are allowed to have passengers there as long as you're gonna drive less than this, right? Less than 30 kilometers per hour. Then yeah, you can have passengers there. If you wanted to drive more than that and still have passengers on that towed vehicle, then in that case, that type of vehicle that you are towing, it must be a semi-trailer. Together,